because it dawned on me when I was reading something about notice of the truth of facts look at the parties first-hand knowledge, reference to condition. Oh, look, this smart technology is going again, isn't it? My conditional acceptance of all offers are null and void. It's doing it again. Hello, big brother. They're using smart technology. Do you know, it's amazing how this unseen information can be used. Gosh, you can see the little bits of my glasses. Right, so basically learn as much as you're able to before what you know of the internet goes. Or if you can go into libraries, or you can even buy books offline, or even have the books already, well, get the edition if you care to. Second edition of Black's Law Dictionary. Please learn meaning of definition and wording, even if you know Latin. Very good, because it all links back to Roman law. Rome. Okay, so all my counterclaim offers have never been rebutted by certain public servants. I am not the trustee of the uppercase birth certificate name. I am the beneficiary, and all the men and women, the trustees are public servants in United Kingdom. A United Kingdom corporation, by the way. I've already made this clear over the years and in writing to various corporations, and I won't state who they are because they know who they are by watching this. Now, if you claim to be United Kingdom county or borough councils or parish councils, well, just do your research. Claim to be charities, yeah, or medical practices. I'm already singled out on the radar, so I've got nothing to lose. And all the factual claims, first-hand knowledge, already been proven, because all claim to be assessments previously by men and women in the job capacity role who deliberately did not provide a full disclosure, full terms and conditions of a contract. And if you learn contract law, that's very useful too. Now, this relates to what I've been seeing and observing today. Yeah. Someone else is going live, so bear with me. And so basically, Northampton Police Force, police force, I should say, or itself. Back in 2013, I'll give you the NP/26584/2013 hate crime, disability hate crime related to certain public servants. You know who you are, in my own home, physically harming me, psychological bullying. Oh, how convenient, bad connection. And basically, oh, what's happening again, the technology. It's basically what they used to be known as HCU, Specialist Department Investigates Overseas Torts, not crimes. It's a tort law that's useful to learn. In reference to the a breach of my private life data by a certain female called Stacey. And I bet she's now in a position. Oh, it's happening again. Did you know how certain subjects, which I won't go into in this stream because it's not related, the technology is not your best friend, by the way. Especially smart meters, smart technology. Right, okay, let's get that one out of the way. Okay, so all these years on, 2017. Oh, it's happening again. Ooh. Are you interference? Let's see the turn the radio off, or does that anything? Frequency. Do you know how that works? Well, anyway, let's go on to this. So basically, everything. This was at the time reported to, they call it Care Council, but it's not, Adult Health Social Care, and the Very Care Company. That was not, there's no law for two-party wedding signed contract. June, July, September 2013. and all diaries was reported, well, kept journals and diaries within common law. That's another one to learn. Common law plus the statute law. Fiona Chapman's videos or the late John House's videos, it's an illusion. It's worth really checking out. Know who you really are. Right, there was a female called Caroline and Sarah. They worked for this particular care company, and it was the lifelong permanent labels I do not do, just empowerment and health and the harm, alarm, stress and the taught. And this still got the documentation. 24/7/2014, UCC 1-308 without prejudice. All the torts and facts, first-hand knowledge, and their claims all being rebutted. I personally shall counterclaim for tort and unlawful harms attached to my character, private life and data protection. All unlawful held data, writings, comments about me without my consent to refrain from all these actions at once, until such lawful offer of my instructions of full access to correct facts are written with my consent only, are amended of your company claimed held data and claimed records. I shall seek damages from lawful use of my private life data. Also use employees females from a night before to the next morning, and proven, I won't say what means, but proven by unlawful spying upon my private life inside my own home, a right to privacy. I have proof of these facts off the record of the parties failure to stop unlawful actions. I shall sue each female via both limited companies. I've informed verbally again Friday, 4:45, 16th of May, this is back in 2014, you know, and via the call handler female employee dated 26/6/2014, conditionally only underestimate that call, and the date of the 10th of 7th 2014 also above. I made instructions to not fund any claimed company known as, left that name out, the Service Limited Company employees. Yet I shall access myself of my lawful control via 4 terms and conditions of a contract my choice. And this was sent by Recorded Post, by the way. So it's sent, I think got stopped. I wonder why. And to cease all abuse of my lawful rights in my own home and blocking unlawfully to me. Now, they were deliberately abusing me, dropping with the hoist, burns to my bodies, mental abuse, verbal abuse in my own home. And I've been seeking at that time a lawful offer by other public sector services departments, employees. You know who you are because you always seem to watch this channel occasionally. And claimed to be a company, the policies of personal budget and instruction that wants to put in place, which they failed to do, by the way, and never been offered in the lawful due processes before what I knew now, obviously, back then and before then, obviously, this is when I got displaced at my home. And I now know what's abuse. It was all reported, and a key individual female called Caroline tried to force upon me on my own home, in my own home, onto me, documentation, which is like it is a contract to sign, which I declined without dishonour. And she then went on a campaign of her usual behaviour and actions towards me. Now, it's amazing what I've kept you don't get a lawful rota, it's just all made up. And forced again onto me. You see, this started when I got displaced from this home. Kadishi went under duress by force and cohesion. And the right to my private life, just because of long-term permanent ill part in health one has. And basically, I have my choice of control who enters into my private home. And so this has already been proven that the breach of my private life led to the disability hate tort, which was reported to the mainstream public servants in one's area. And I just read out that they call it in statute law crime number, but I know it's a tort. Despite of all my requirements on my terms, conditions and instructions, I conditionally have provided the notice of the truth facts of the parties, already proven and not rebutted. Not one of these torts or facts have ever been rebutted. I personally now shall counterclaim the tort. I think that's the same copy I just read out. So, they have no man or woman has authority over me. And this was reference to Sally H and Stacey. Okay, Wednesday 15th 1st 2014 and January 2000. This was dated no unlawful trespass to my home against my sovereignty. I can't even say the word. SOVEREIGNTY as an individual. For example, we are governed by consent. There's no such thing as governments, is there? Well, you can search that for yourself, my opinion. Okay, no unlawful entry to my home without full disclosure, terms, conditions of a contract. I shall seek self-SDS policy only. That's self-direct support, never got offered. So basically, in a nutshell, this came up on Chapman's website. You can check it out yourself. There's very useful information, how to sign your documentation, your copy claim seal, and you are by the family, what you're known by, of before. There you go again, interruption, Wi-Fi technology, hello, scanning my face more like. So who is assuming that has authority of my flesh and blood and living soul? A woman, not a robot just yet, unless the nanoparticles in the atmosphere is affecting all of our blood systems in our body most probably. So all these are to wake up these key employees, and no doubt all these years on, they're still robots, still no heart, still no compassion in their own psyche and their personal belongings. And all you get is just, this is just a blank copy, it's just anyone could do a template letter, print out with Sunday to Sunday, and add into it what they were doing in each morning. From the night before, they were offered, you don't get to know who the last information is, so you don't know who the hell is coming in your own. And so it was conditionally accepted under duress at the time, because I was trying to hold these clearly public servants accountable. So the company reference for this particular care company in 10 UK begins with UC 07818958. All nil and void claim to be rotors, always being the fact. No contract exists with me, the living me. Thank you for checking in. Just stated about the I got nothing to do, so I'm just going for it today, so bear with me, I'm on a roll. My condition acceptance, oh we go again, scanning my face, all the technology, I don't give a monkeys because time's short. My condition acceptance of offer, my counterclaim offer, my notice of rejection without dishonour. Entry to my home is on my terms only, and that relates to any man or woman connected to any current and future public sector services, private limited companies, and by the way, I will hold each and individual of you by commercial lien. Let's go into the next page, shall we? So basically it goes on to reference to directors of these public funded companies, especially the massive great big building behind me, over 100 million. Yes, it is over 100 million, the crap facts, because I had to investigate. I saw some information behind the scenes, and is never what's portrayed to the public domain, what the public purse and the funds being spent on, especially when there is going on constantly cutbacks everywhere and every kind of public department. Okay, so I found the source of the company directors of the particular company I mentioned. This was without prejudice, and when you check out Bionica Chapman statute law versus common law, you start studying, or you don't know already, it you go on to learning more advanced information, which I have done and still do. Now, when you learn the definitions of these keywords, my rejection without dishonour, what that really means, the notice of the truth with facts of the parties, and your condition accepted offer under duress. Sometimes it might be forced upon you without your lawful consent, and if you don't know what implied consent and lawful consent, there is definitions and differences within that. Now, if you don't know what a corporate claim seal means, it means on your bottom right hand side documentation, oh, it's washed off now, the red thumbprint seal means everything within your documentation when you're writing back. I would suggest to do more of that, not just emails, because with the emails it's automatic joinder with the birth certificate name, which is owned by the Crown Corporation of London, City Bar London, its own corporation and country, separate to United Kingdom. If you learn to do the writing, my copy claim seal above your thumbprint seal, and sign it what you're known by of a sovereign in your blue ink, and also get a £1 stamp, put it up on the right hand side of your document, on the right hand side at the top, which I shall be doing from tomorrow for all documents, although it's costly, but it will mean that document, all the writing on it is that, and it cannot be rebutted. No man or woman, I should rephrase that, any man or woman do not have the capacity or authority to debunk the content in your documentation. And hello, scanning my face again with this technology, because it keeps doing the waving on this device, and it's never done it before till today. Since I started finding a bit more information today, that's what I'm on a roll. Bear with me. I hope it's bad connection now. They've stopped those streamers probably because I dare expose some facts, not all. Yeah, so basically what happened when you actually get physically harmed and you get burns in your body, you get dropped from the height of a hoist in a sling onto the floor, and you have your physical body already injured and re-injured. That is absolutely, what do you reckon that is? Physical harm? Don't even get me started on the verbal abuse. Well, there's one particular female, sorry for the notification on my phone. There's one particular female called Emma who failed to make sure health and safety, in their terminology, in statute law, was paramount. And her big mouth and loud shouting and telling me what to do in my own home. I've got the dates down here. Again, I put it down. She loses control herself when she attacks me. Absolutely. You wouldn't make this up. This is all in a documentation. That's when I had to withdraw all offers of their force upon me, the living woman. That particular female in my home as well. It ended up I had to cancel all of them in my home. Debbie and Emma, especially when they're together. Well, that rhymes, doesn't it? Should be a poet. Didn't you know it? Got to have a bit of humour sometimes, haven't you? So I condition provided of my private home the key codes, which are to the block of flats where I live, by the way, main entry door, under duress only, and entry was at that time under my terms and conditions only of the company employees. I made it quite clear from the 10th of 7th 2014, 14th of the 7th 2014, going back a bit now, aren't we, to provide the full disclosure. I made it quite clear that I am the one that's been attacked, and my experiences of hell and targeted of hate and violence by claimed to be, at the time we had homeless, unfortunately, men and women addicted to drink and drugs, took over a certain flat upstairs, and they were breaking in the communal door. So the risk to my safety was serious, and unfortunately the housing employees, I won't mention the company per se, but I'm sure you see my videos, you know what I mean by that. And they failed to take that matter into consideration. It took them about a year to do anything about it, and the male per se still living above me, kept us flat. Yet certain things happening to me in my own home that I condition went under duress is deliberately being blocked. That's another story, another day. But you can actually check previous videos on this channel to see that. The harm and alarm distress to me are already been proven, first-hand knowledge, and this is what this document actually states. Now, when there was also a female known as, I can't remember what she was called, but she was the same age as me, she's a smoker, in the public. Oh, here we go. The technology's waving in the background on this device. And I've got to think, I can't remember what she's called offhand, but she was attacking me verbally, shouting at me, verbally abusing me, trying to dictate to me, trying to control me in a shop in the public arena in the town centre one's area. So that's that one. And they failed to... Oh yeah, here we go. So this was sent to Fiona, Philip. They're just some of the board of directors of this particular care company, and there's a head office in one's area and another area office where they claim to be from. I'll quote again the two company house reference numbers of this company because, no, one of them already quoted. The other public funded company that commissioned this claim to be care services, that's a big bracket on that one. Okay, you'll be able to suss this out if you go on any company check or company's house information. Well, you might not be, but anyway, I'm going to quote it. It's just a corporation and public funded. Keep saying bad connection. The company house reference number is UCO 4071168, and it goes on to say, I refuse without design on my part of, again, non-enforceable, non-factual claim, personal care task, which still is not lawful or meeting all of my lawful requirements on my terms and instructions. I conditionally have provided notice of the truth of the facts for record the parties, and not one of the tort complaints have ever been rebutted. I personally now shall counterclaim and sue for unlawful harm and attacks my private life and personal data too. Until such lawful offer of my instructions of full access to correct facts by written consent only, I already did that out. It's a bit unusual. It must be a copy of this one, so bear with me. I do not await now for access paid to myself. Oh yes, that's what I said. I do await for... it meant to be implied that I am waiting for access to myself of lawful policy of personal budgets. And this was going back 2012, 2013, 14. Still didn't materialise, did it? I wonder why. And via the limited company known by, which I'm going to leave out right this minute, public funded, and the department, specifically public servants, men and women, who did fail to provide a lawful two-party full disclosure signed contract for full terms and conditions and full disclosure to be offered to me. Due to these facts and no advance lawful choice of offer of females in my home since June, also 2014, and to date, and that was a date there, and that was dated, this last offer I sent was a 22nd 8 2014. Okay, the last paragraph really just states quite clearly, already proven with a copy of the public servants peace officers reference number of proven I went through the system. So you public servants out there, you know who you are, who made up fake information about and is fully rebutted already. And you still carry on to date to do certain things unlawfully. I also quote here the last paragraph, all offers to date is unlawful by common law and contract law and unenforceable statutes. No one holds any written consent by me. I am of the living, of the flesh and blood, and soul, a woman. Therefore, I shall have my private friends to help me on an emergency basis only, without prejudice, and this is dated 28/8/2014. That's ever since to date. I've had my private female friends to care for me because of what happened. And even give you one example where I was spied upon. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, that wasn't that one. I think somebody could have misplaced it by mistake. Bear with me. Oh, here we go. I'm not going to quote the company per se, But again, it was Caroline, you know who you are, well, if they ever watch this. And I quoted, oh, here we go, with the technology interfering on the phone again. Right. There's another public company set up, claimed to be Adult Care Services, and I'm sure one can work that out, but I'm not going to quote it right now. And the board of directors of that public company are also board of directors of this care company. And how convenient today in 2017 they still got the same contract. Well, we're going to quote something to you. Okay, what date is this? Let's have a look. Okay, here we go. 19th of the 10th, 2012. Long time, isn't it? A copy of this went to, in statute law, went to complaints department of the public funded company, and I quoted about the common law and Black's law and keywords to require the full disclosure of two-party wet-ink signed contract and using natural law. There's a lot to do with learning about natural law too. Now, this particular public servant called a principal care manager, well, she was nothing but opposite. My sister in Wales at the time had a copy of this because she tried to assist and unfortunately didn't really do anything, but she did her best. This is also dated Monday the 4th of the 2nd, 2013. Okay, just to let you, hello, such and such female. Just to let you know, one of the home carers called Charlotte, called in to inform, phoned in when she's off duty in the town centre in one's area and make an assumption about my private character. Nobody bothered to ask me, or I'd have no obligation to divulge anything, but nobody had the decency to treat me equally and ask me why they believe and made assumption that they seen me in a town centre on my own at 8:55 AM in the morning, and then they carry on to claim assumption that she was seen in bed as usual at 11 AM for her morning call. And this comes from a particular care supervisor, a particular female called Caroline, that tried to shove a contract in front of me on a Sunday evening on my own, which I rejected without dishonour, and that's when I got the verbal abuse by her and the threats by her and a colleague with her. So I challenged them on this and did it in writing, and it's all unproven because this is how they are absolutely to a T, not changed, and this is absolutely non-factual or pure hearsay, and I proved it, and it was never ever rebutted, and I did the copy claim seal on it. The very care company has got monopoly on all respite placements in the area. They have monopoly of all care, they call it community centres for people with ill parliament and health, whether it's learning disabilities or otherwise, and they are all controlled by this. They got monopoly of the contracts. Public purse, your public purse is paying for all this, by the way. And I don't know, the very females are being promoted all these years on in their capacity, might be a director by now, who knows. Just to let you know, we are dealing with individuals that know the system, and they don't expect any one of us to know what's going on in the bigger picture scheme of things. So I find it hilarious, that, not hilarious, but pathetic actually, when there's all these deliberate cutbacks and expect many women who are ill pardon health to pay out of the offer of Department of Works and Pensions, another public limited company nationally in the United Kingdom, of offer of benefit system within trust law if one doesn't claim your natural birth life record. Yeah, and that takes funding and procedure and time, and if you're not in a position to do that, but mind you, we're not in a monetary system in the sense, because there's never ever been money, such word as money, when people quote that all the time, it just makes me laugh, because of the Gold Standards Act. Have you ever researched that? And that is, I'm not sure how it works in other corporate countries, but in United Kingdom it's just learn about the Bills of Exchange Act 1888, 1882 is a good one, and you see where there's never ever been. Why do you think there's plastic currency coming out of the Bank of England. Bank of England, again, is a corporation. So when you start waking up to all these subjects, I know I'm talking quite quick because I ain't got a lot of time. I need to do something. So I thought, well, I'm absolutely... Oh, yeah, here's a commercial lean I did. Let me just briefly go into this. Okay, so it was to that particular care company. And this was dated the 18th of the 11th, 2013 to start with, and both to the public sector, i.e. public limited company, and to the care company, again paying by the public sector funds. Commercial lien process: notice to principal, notice to agent, notice to agent is notice of principal, notice of first and final warning. Common law commercial lien is a process that any man or woman can employ in order to obtain lawful remedy from the actions of another man or woman who have attempted or have conspired to damage said man or woman in some way. Such wrongs as are known as torts and are the subject of tort law, and this includes harassment such as threats with malice, which is considered to be psychological damage, and defamatory of character, which is also considered to be a damage of reputation. This reason for this is very simple. Since all are equal under natural law, then each man and woman has a duty of care to each other within common law behind those actions, and they can there live together in peace. And with the duty of care, breaching is within common law. Well, it says criminal. There's no such word as criminal. It's a tort law. And if you go into that and research that, it's up to you. But it just briefly explains about the process of commercial lien and the construct of the common law and the law of the land, England. This is a common law jurisdiction, being as it's on the land, not the sea, by the way, in maritime law. This any man and woman residing in this country, corporation country, is subject to common law above all else, and includes individuals whom this is sent to. So I just mended the wording, and briefly at the end, basically, it just goes into the set processes and points where you detail what's happened, and if they don't rebut it, and this is done by a copy of my affidavit, and it's signed by independent individuals, and with all my allegations, and they have the opportunity to rebut every single point, word for word, and if they don't do it within 30 days, and it stands as fact, and you put a notice in the controlled mainstream media, or you can do it as a video now, people do that online, and if they don't rebut it by their individual sworn affidavit of their own words written under the same criteria of first-hand knowledge under penalty of perjury, it stands as fact. And obviously this is notarized by a notary, and that also costs. So I saved up my pennies to do that. So this is why they've locked everything. Still do. This is the first and final warning. Basically, it said at the time of the communication, any further of your agents by any means, mail, phone calls, knock on my door, that I will undertake commercial lien processes against those individuals too. And so absolutely their actions, behaviours is dishonoured and downright fraudulent. And so basically, yeah, there's no obligation to divulge any further information, and that's what they've been trying to do for so long ever since. And this is why it's all coming to a head in my previous videos about this housing situation. So there you go. It's very important, in my opinion. I just come quickly on stream because absolutely it's coming to a point where all your technology, all your information, as soon as you wake up and learn this fact, and you know why certain things are happening as a pattern, you know why there's this statute act, certain statutes are trying to enforce upon a man and woman to imply there's a control of the authority, and they don't want anybody to know these truths. And if you ever talk about any subjects like this, you're on an instant radar. You may not, but I know I am. I don't care anymore. So basically, Annette's a friend of mine, her ex, works in surveillance and in certain areas, and managed to get a surveillance listening devices put in my home. We got all the evidence. He still got it on a device to go public with it when I give him the go-ahead. And because my life is being threatened many times in many ways, and I haven't really gone into that much, I will do in another video. At some point, but at the moment I've got to be extremely careful so I don't get any a man or woman's counterclaim of libel. So I'm extremely careful, because there's all these this past year has always been let's shut her up and let's do it in certain ways that looks like official in their eyes, yeah. And bad connection, bear with us. So I'll just keep this short because it just goes on information about telephone wiretap, hidden camera, private investigation tactics. And I got this print out ages ago, and pure luck I found it, still got it, and how they do this. And nowadays it's more advanced technology. And well, I'm sure you know about that if you've ever woken up and you feel that you're on the other end of being observed, because you dare wake up and have a free mind of your own and learn information. So just be aware who you are surrounding yourself with when you're on the learning journey. Already know these facts, and you are in a United Kingdom. I'm not sure what it's like in the parts of the world, but I can only go from experience in the UK. So there's the printout I've got, and when you know that your main door is still not mended and they can get entry anytime, if you've ever learned how to do change your birth given name, i.e. common law, deep hole, then you can do it by free online. I've done mine. This is by a public notary, LLP. It's MD, public notary, and basically got witness in the presence of a personal friend, not a family member, and it just gave a link again of what I've previously known by, and that was accepted just like that. So you don't need to spend a fortune to go to a bar, council, bar, society, lawyer, man and woman to make a profit out of numbers on a computer. And so that was already done and dealt, and all their so-called statute documentation is known by this now. So that's just abbreviation. Very quick talking, I know. We might have to stop to start this video. I say this because what's the date now? It's Monday the 6th of November 2017, because all this assumption and deliberate trying to deceive me that I don't know what the game is about, trying to make me homeless in the sense of, especially in the situation I'm in, you see my videos about that, to use statute law on the subject of Housing Act. And when you look at what the word act means in Black's Law Dictionary, you can easily use other versions that might be more suitable to you if you're learning. One will soon realise that no man or woman has authority over you, and they're just making assumptions. It's very important to learn this, in my opinion anyway, how to hold these key men and women accountable, especially in their job capacity role. Now, when everything's going, well, it's always really private, but these are corporations just literally coming down on people. In my situation first, they'll be coming down to the ordinary men and women working hard and believe if they don't pay their taxes, well, excuse me, it's just numbers on a computer out of the trust account. And by the way, that's another thing I think I mentioned, trust law. The equity, there is two, just imagine a pyramid, right? You got two sections, well, no, you got the public side, which is what these public servants and the high paid ones, especially not the ordinary workers, the high paid ones, make such an assumption that that name of the Crown Corporation birth certificate is your, okay? And it's all to do with commerce as well, business commerce. And anything within the Royal Mail, Queen, the Royal Mail, is not to the flesh, the man, the woman of the living blood of the flesh, okay? And once you realise that it's all offers or contracts, you have roughly about 3 working days to rebut or reject the offer, or you can conditionally accept it under duress if it's, be careful how you deal with these very well-known public national funded companies when it's obviously one believes your security may be at risk because of your ill permanent health, and it's how to sign a documentation under duress. If I had a pen, I could actually show you. Well, just a capital V dot capital C in abbreviation, which I've been taught. It's signing it, their documentation. You can amend the declaration documentation, that connection. You can amend the documentation, where it says in the documentation, the statute wording, to I say these words and then it starts, under duress. Just learn what that means. Even do a typed version of a letter, and you word it carefully, but always do the same. Sign a copy, claim, seal, back and front documentation, as I described earlier, because when it's automatic, everything's gone line to automatically, and everything can imagine why, because they want to create all the joinder, create the control. And why do you think cryptocurrency is coming out and all this so-called technology about is not to aid the man and the woman at all, you know. I don't do videos about exposés and the hidden meanings and things like that. Other good people do that, and it's informative, but it's very important to know. Oh, it's happening again. And very important to know who you really are within your heart, mind, body, and soul. And it's enlightening when you wake up to these things. How useful is it nowadays? You extremely be careful who you're dealing with and how you word things, because when you send the proof, first-hand knowledge, House of Commons, House of Parliament, Ministry of Justice, Department of Health, everything claimed to be government, and bad connection again, keywords I'll say here, when you send the copies of proof out, and it's going bad connection, when you send this information out, with your copies of counterclaim offers, I keep saying bad connection because the subject I'm talking about, and you send the proofs out to these men and women in the public sector, i.e. a lot of these people are young and not aware, if they are, they keep it quiet, of this alleged governments locally or nationally. And when you send the proof that they're not, they're corporations, all political parties are too. And when you send the same information of fact, and it's not me just making it up, it's actually in black and, well, it's not black and white, it's coloured documentation. I found that originally off, and you will never find the website because it's closed down now, tpuc.org in 2012, long time ago, isn't it? So I've been aware of all this for a long, long time. And why do you think all these things happen to me? Why do you think they run me over? Why do they think they set me up many things in many ways? I haven't got into it all because it's too long a video. And it's still going on to this, all this housing thing. It's all interlinked. All the labels of in statute law of 2014, Care Act, adult safeguarding, making an assumption about your private life and in your own home. It's all linked to create a label. Especially when you're waking up. Especially when you're clued up and you're smart and you learn these things. You connect the dots. But you can't be, you have to be so damn careful when you talk to people because you don't know who's not awakened and might just think you're just like all the mainstream media controlled are pushing the agenda of mental health, aren't they? Don't you realise what's behind that? And look at the weather on the subject. If you open your eyes at geoengineering with medication, usually the videos are about that. I haven't done a video like this for a long time, but I thought, well, there's deliberate cutbacks in the public's pain. If you don't know about what I'm talking about already, and you believe you're paying your taxes and you're working your behind off and you're trying to survive in this corrupt system, I'll call it, then what the hell are they doing? Building a massive new building opposite, over 100 million of a public purse, for all the plush officers and the key board of directors I quoted earlier, sitting pretty, and all their certain golden handshakes deals always go on. All I can say at this moment in time, allegedly, the new mayor of one's area is well connected in certain areas of underhanded, darker side of life. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. I have experience and knowledge of a lot more, but I'm not able to go into details about that while I'm still in the same area. If you ever thought about how all this corruption and how all this deception has been going on for so long, when you look back in history to the Roman Empire, Vatican, in centuries, not just recent stuff. And when you realise that is deliberate, and why do you think these bar society members, these men and women, learn Latin or go to the private establishments known as education places to get a piece of paper to say they're so clever? Why do you think, sorry, I'm being sarcastic, why do you think these men and women go into the mainstream big pharma industry so they can make good deals on pushing the certain medication, shall we say, that's meant to help the man and woman's health? And if you dare question the damage to your cells and your body, and you learn about natural remedies and the truth about psychiatry, truth about dentistry, and you realise and wake up, it's all to do with the intake of what you're taking in your body and how your whole inner spiritual well-being, mind, body and soul interlinks, and your consciousness within. And when you switch into that and you learn certain knowledge, you lose the fear. You lose the sense of all this bureaucracy, all this... We're living in kind of a matrix world, put it that way. And a lot of these good men and women out there that just like to watch their controlled media, mainstream telly, and just be controlled by all that information. I'm not making none of this up. You can do your own research on those subjects. It's already acknowledged that. The frequencies, how they use the frequencies to all sorts of things. I'm not going to really go into it right now, but when you realise seriously how long it's been going on, and this is just one fact of information that certain golden handshakes in certain societies, so-called secret, not so secret no more, is well known for a long time. But unfortunately, it takes situations sometimes. Things happen, say for example, things happen to one for a reason, to be in the position to wake up to the knowledge and learn it. And there's certain parts of my family, they're still in the grey mindset, where they will never wake up to what's really going on and believe everything what they hear and see. I've always been one to question things ever since I was a young girl, but I just stand out from the crowd. And when you do, unfortunately, just be aware. Just be very careful who you deal with. I experience when you're dealing with these subjects and counterclaiming out and seeking clarification and doing certain documentation, you learn how to do it. It does take an effort, and I do need a good day for all that. When you're dealing with private corporations and their employees and board of directors, I know how to deal with things like that. When it comes to got to be more conscious nowadays, especially dealing with the public funded, claim to be public companies, and the public person's paying for nationally or locally, then when you're sending your documents, you need to get the wording correct and fact and signed and documented. And whether it's special delivery or recorded post, it's vital. And because look what's going on in the bigger scheme of things and other subjects I can't really touch right now. It's not really on the subject what I really want to talk about today. and it is paramount that, we're back glitched again, it's paramount to be aware and conscious that these ordinary men and women in their job capacity are doing the bidding of their line management in the job role. And when they go higher up the line of command, they might even be very concerned themselves if they speak out. They might know what's going on and they cannot be whistleblowing on certain things, because they also might end up no job and be singled out. So I can see it putting their hat on perhaps seeing it from their side of things also. And this is why certain things happening in my environment, not by my doing, by the way, is also certain people are pulling the strings of certain individuals to protect the image of this corporation, because they're national and they're well connected with the fake governments in UK. And I can't go into that much, but I've sussed a lot of things out, unfortunately. And yeah, just have a sharp eye. Unfortunately, there's a lot of good people out there with blindness, with learning illnesses, you know, disabilities, sometimes born with, that are being taken advantage of. And God forbid their loved ones don't know this information and they go along with status quo. I see so much and observe so much. It's such a shame. And all I can do is my own little bit of things. I'm not an expert in nothing. I suggest you go up and learn things for yourself if you care to. But I know this is just another challenge in one's life, in its stage of life, what's going on. So at least I know what I know and done what I've done and studied, and always been honourable. That's the key point. Always being honourable in your dealings in life. And my opinion is up to you, obviously, what you want to do. But there's always an agenda, and anyone now waking up to a lot of other subjects, even more than this, and there is a lot to know about, then just be prepared. Be extremely vigilant and be prepared, because you might just not know what could happen or what the next card. This is just another example, creating the block of all repairs and making it like I'm literally off-grid in bricks and mortar. Living like that, yeah, that's how unbelievable it is. And it's been going on all summer. We're now winter, so there's not a remedy in that one. But I'll be doing the commercial lien, getting that information back out and going after CEO on that one, the man. And he knows exactly what I mean. I've got his email. I found out what his email is. It's so funny. And not funny per se, but just the fact that I will not be harassing. I'll be honourable in my wording. And it's interesting when you do a notice of opportunity to cure and hold them accountable as certain individuals, they take no notice. So that was sent 4 times in the past 2 weeks. Yeah. Because bombardment emails is automatic. So I just print it out with my friend's help and then post it to the CEO, the board of directors, and do it such a way. And when you do that, they don't rebut it. It stands as fact. Anyway, I can't see if anyone's making a comment on this, or if you're just observing today. But I'll just keep this video up to say, well, check out trust law. When you're looking at the pyramid side, like imagine you've got a pyramid on the public in trust law. This is what a lot of this, anything you're dealing in life with public sector employees, public funded companies, will use that birth certificate crown corporation name, because it's all financial commerce, and it's always presumptions being made that is you when it's not. And to do with anything in commerce, to access any goods and services, it's forcing the man and the woman of the flesh and blood to represent that corporation name, to be in then the role as a trustee. It's not about getting rid of the benefit of use of that trust name in situations where, like, for example, I find myself in, but it's conscious or careful of the words and procedures and processes being used against one, and be straight on the ball if you're able to in situations. Now, also, when you're looking at the private, it's better to be in the private if you have your health, if you have the means and assets, solid assets, gold or silver, assets of bricks and water of your own, or land, if you're self-employed, because, or perhaps if you're working for a corporation, might be a bit more tricky, because you might want to be low profile on that one, because your job would be a risk, wouldn't it? And again, all this system, you look about history, how the bartering system worked. Surely that was more fairer, where you had goods to exchange, solid assets or goods to exchange for something else. But look how the conveyor belt, I call it, in the commercial world is buy, commercialism, control by the monetary system. And this is why I go back to the Bank of England producing the plastic £10 notes, £5 notes. They're talking about something else in the future. Well, it's all to do with digital currency, about control at the end game, isn't it, anyway? There's more to it than that, but I won't bore you with all the details. I'm sure you might know already if you're watching this and you're clued up. But it's just a game of life, really, if you think about it. It's just a game. But it gets a bit more complicated when you are dealing with darker forces of life, shall I say it that without specifics. I'm just going to shut off now. Time's getting on. And thank you for tuning in. So it is worth checking out. I don't believe so much disinformation about. I've been there, been down many rabbit holes, many mistakes on that one, but I've come out of it all, and I just know this. I'm going to dig out some more information and do another commercial lean, as I said, and I might do a couple on it, 2 individuals I know about what's happening at the moment for my situation. And I would suggest check out a video known as Guy Taylor. I don't really think much of him per se, but what he talks about on the subject of commercial lien within common law and tort law, it's some of his videos goes off on tangent, and I could have gone off tangent here tonight, who knows? But it's worth checking that one out, because that's United Kingdom, is based up in Nottingham somewhere, I think. Could be. But I think he was left some land by his father, and that's why he went on his campaign, his process of what he was doing. But there are good sources. Bear in mind when you're researching, because I've got a background in PR and research, so that's why I was able to study, even despite my situation for a while. Self-taught on that one. Bad connection again, bear with me. So it's worth knowing certain facts and how to go about it when you're dealing with commercial liens. Online, when you're researching on how to live within, it's very difficult nowadays to be the man or woman, not the corporation, Crown Corporation own name. There's a lot of disinformation online about using UCC1 filings in commerce, and that is not straightforward. What I find misleading as well is, Facebook, how all that works. It's not there to aid. People are putting all their kids' photos, all sorts online. I never do that. Oh, I would never do that. Even with my grandkids, I never do that, because that data is used and stored. I mean, I don't give monkeys about me, because, I mean, whatever, you know, if I'm not here tomorrow and my spiritual entity would be a better place. But God forbid. But for the sake of the next generation, I think it's important for a lot of us that are awakened, and for those that don't know, and I know all this technology, the data will be stored in the database someday, and perhaps in the future we'll look back and say, oh look, that's a conspiracy theorist, and that was that. No, I'm not one of them. But that's a label, you see, with so-called individuals, you know what I mean by that, hopefully, read between the lines, would like to put a label on those that awaken to the facts of the truth, first-hand knowledge. It's so important, because when a man and woman's not about observing, like, for example, what I reported before on the care system, what's happening, and hence the reason what prompted me to the stream, was that in one's area they put the charges, you know, I mean, monetary system, the alleged consultations of budgets. That's the time of year, innit, where people are busy with celebrations, if you do that for Christmas, the family and all this stuff going on this time of year, and the weather. And then suddenly alleged meetings of these fake politicians, men and women, but they do always make their decisions behind the scenes in their so-called secret society clubs, if you know what I mean by that. They're not that secret anymore, but they're all in it together. And they do use the, if you know the, what they call it, the Social Security number, how to not pay for anything by that, because on the trust account it's got a bond, and that bond number offsets numbers on computer and commerce. And there was one video I came across, if I can find it, I'll go on to link that at some point tomorrow if I get a moment, because I'll check the video out and just see if it's authentic or not in the information. Because that filing saying about Freemasons, men and women, just a label in it, it's just men and women educated and certain information, that they do not pay the alleged taxes or whatever, you know, taxes. You look in history, where did taxes originally come from? Yeah. Anyway, that video went on to explain some basics on how using a national insurance number connected with that birth certificate name in trust law, and with a trust account, I should say, that offsets, and it's certain wording one uses. And this is why you see a lot of these men and women, how could they afford these cars and all this lifestyle? A certain way they're doing it. But ordinary men and women were never informed, were never educated. This information to the mainstream education establishments, are we? So I'll look into that another time. I might do a stream depending what I get distracted again with, you know, by these individuals. What's going on? So anyway, thanks for checking in, and if you want to rewind this video and stop start, I will just check into, that's what I was going to say, Facebook page. People mention subjects like this on Facebook. I don't really trust all the information they're posting, because I know who's behind and what's behind Facebook and other similar social media, not even this format. And I'm not bothered about this format, you know, but no way would I trust information being shared about these topics on the format like that. And even you just need to be vigilant. And if you can get the books, because it's not, I tell you, it's not that cheap. When you get Black's Law Dictionary, and certain other, there's another dictionary, I can't remember which one, I found across. I did download it, but my old laptop crashed. I think it's still stored in that data. I can't get out of that data. It's a shame, really, because that was very informative. Because then I had a yearbook of lodges, and he was certain degrees in certain lodges in the United Kingdom, and I found my ex-husband with one. Oh my God. And I found that he was linked up to certain things I won't go into right now. That's quite a few years ago now. But you can easily get, I don't know if you still can get a copy of the Black Book. Yeah, it's all in black. How symbolic, how black wording. And what I used to do is look out for the individuals I'm dealing with locally for certain subjects and see if they're in it. And then I would watch the body, learn body language, and I watched their body language and their behaviour. And it's such a shame when you have to do that in life, innit? But we're living them times now, aren't we? Anyway, I don't care what people think about me. I'm just trying to share some information. And if you think it's useful talk, then good luck to you. God bless, keep safe, and I could go. Bye.